Hey, Maria, back with another video. It's 7:38 p.m. It is September 15th. I believe today is Tuesday. Okay, I stay in the house all the time. Days just kind of merge into one, like I said, and we're already in the month of September, and I'm still without a job. Can you believe it? I believe it. Anyway, so I wanted to make this video because I was in the mood for chatting, you know? And yeah, I do like to chat. I like to talk. I can talk. I can talk. I can talk and talk some more. Unfortunately, I'm in this isolation period, that which seems to have been going on forever. But we know it. So I'm not going to go too much into that. But, today I really, really wished I had someone I could talk to. I mean, really talk to. And yeah, I am picky about who I make friends with. I mean, as we can tell by this issue that I just went through, that not everybody is your friend. Not everybody is someone that you can confide in or get close to. Um, and I am picky, and I have every right to be picky, and I think it's wise to be that way. But, so I just kind of pedaled around today, and it's very hard to get motivated to do anything when, you've dealt with as much as I've dealt with. So I'm trying to, regain my interest in things, and pick myself back up, and it's just emotionally draining, I will tell you. I've been in this fight. Well, like I've said, I've been mobbed out of my jobs and had issues with gang stalking for a very long time, okay? It just got explosive over the last few years, and it became quite apparent that there was just not, it wasn't just a coincidence, So I get this now. And so it is extremely frustrating because your life becomes consumed with this issue and you cannot avoid it. And the reason why it's impossible to avoid it is because, number one, you were placed in isolation. You're dealing with not having control over your own destiny. Okay, you got people thinking that they want to put their 2 cents worth in and preventing you from living out your rights. Okay, and it's shocking, and especially shocking when you come to find out that people that you knew were involved in this, and you would never think in a million years of doing something like this to them. Okay, so it's like, whoa, fuck, I mean, it's a lot on a person, especially the financial drain that it causes and everything else. Okay, so I understand when they talk about gang stalking and how it destroys every aspect of your life because you no longer associate with people. You don't look at your friends like you look at the people that you used to know, and their true face is revealed, and it can be quite shocking. Um, you lose connections with your family. Of course, I was a scapegoated kid, so I guess really nobody gives a shit about that. But still, I mean, your entire life gets turned upside down. Not just relationships. I'm talking about, your work, So a lot, I see why a lot of targeted individuals or people who get in this situation give up, and they just, I understand. I do understand. Um, I make these videos because, it's a way of relieving that stress when I want to talk. I can talk to myself and record it, And plus, I know there's other targeted individuals out there who do listen to my videos. I know that I would say most of my viewers are probably perps and perps associates of perps or whatever. But still, you can at least help somebody if it's just if it's just one targeted individual that subscribes to my channel and hears this, whatever I have to say, and they can relate, at least they know they're not alone. But, yeah, so, here's what's up with Maria. Here's the current updates. Not much in my life activity, just same old stuff. I try not to spend too much time on the computer because, I really just, I don't enjoy it. Okay, like I remember when I first got my first computer, it was like I was looking at this and I was looking at that, and I was doing this and I was doing that, and I was really intrigued with it. But now it's just another piece of like an object, And I'm not, except for I do enjoy using PowerPoint. I am using PowerPoint more. As a matter of fact, I'm making this video on PowerPoint mainly because I don't want to be in the video. And number two, I just kind of like the idea of inserting a picture or whatever. It's nice, or different slides or whatever. So it's kind of nice. I'd like to use PowerPoint more in the future. We have challenging projects, which is I am working on a video presentation, the one that I talked about, how gang stalking and human trafficking are interconnected, or actually kind of one and the same. I worked on that a little bit today, and so, same old, just putting away, but I do need to get outside and do some things. It's getting cooler, and yes, I do and plan on going for walks. I don't care if that pisses my perps off, and I'm going to tell you why, because I have a right to. Okay, it gets extremely boring in this house, and I think that what happened in my situation was just absolutely ridiculous, and I don't want to go into it anymore. As a matter of fact, I really don't want to talk about it. I find the whole thing very disturbing, and and I hope that this sends a message to people. I think that I've been doing a lot of thinking about blacklisting and the illegal practices that people engage in, whether they are aware that it's illegal or not. I'm hoping that this information spreads to as many people as possibly can. Particularly the one that talks about blacklisting, the workplace mobbing. These are very good videos. I think they could have been better as far as the production of them. I'm still working with PowerPoint. I'm not really good when it comes to choosing great images or whatever. I'm very critical of my work because I think everything that I do deserves like this intense like attention, And yeah, I guess you can call me a perfectionist, okay? And so I do get critical, but I think the information is good. And I look at a lot of things that people do, and a lot of the thoughtless things that people do when it comes to running a business and how to conduct things. And it's not me, I'm not being arrogant, but some people make decisions that are extremely foolish for the company and just mankind in general. Like, blacklisting somebody, or manipulating people, or following them around and stalking and devaluing your human life and your rights as a person. I will tell you, it's been a nightmare. It's been a flippin' nightmare. But other than that, yeah, I need to get out more and do things. I don't know what there is to do. We have this issue about COVID-19 and this whole, isolation thing, which is, I was already isolated. Now it's like kind of mandatory isolation. It's ridiculous, okay? But now, I don't really go out. I don't go to bars. I don't do those sort of things. So I know what people are thinking. You should go to church, okay? I want to talk to you about the whole church thing, okay? Now, I have nothing against people who practice religion, okay? I don't have a problem with people who are Catholic, you're Lutheran, you're Presbyterian. Well, I don't care what you are, really. I don't. And I think that there is good in religion. Yes, there can be. I think there's a lot of people who've changed their lives because of it. But what I'm talking about is a true dedication to your faith. That is what a lot of people that I've seen, and I'm not saying everybody, okay, but in the situation that I was in, that I just experienced, I don't see people being dedicated to their faith. I think they're dedicated to the propaganda. And so, and why I say this is because I take spirituality very seriously. Like, this whole idea of having a connection to something greater than me, I do believe there is something greater than me, and I do not offend it. I don't offend that higher power, God. I don't do it. I try not to. What I'm saying is, when you offer or you try to convince somebody, how can I say this, okay? There are some people who go to church, and they show up to church, and they make an appearance, and they form bonds and cliques with some of the members in the church and the congregation. and they go to their potlucks and their other meetings and everything, but they walk outside the church and they're complete and utter garbage, okay? And why I'm saying this is because, you know, they're not really trying to walk in the footsteps of Jesus Christ, okay? What they are trying to do is gain some sort of public attention or their acceptance or their whatever. And when, you know, they invalidate the very book that, or the very teachings that they're supposed to represent, okay? Being a Christian is more than just doing something for a job, okay? What I witnessed is I was in a situation where blessings were arranged not by God himself, but by a group of people, okay? It's like they literally made a choice as to whether they're going to give you a blessing, a benediction, or malediction, okay? And they themselves feel as though they are God, okay? They feel like they're God so much that they feel like they can control your life, okay? Aside from that, you know, when you try to force a person to adhere to your religious beliefs, if I was to get shot the day that I decided to join your church, okay, if I was to get shot or die or something along those lines, my soul would be compromised. Now, I know people don't think of it that deeply. They don't think about it that deeply, and it's unfortunate that they do, but that's the whole purpose of the Bible, the whole idea why we're here. The decision is, are we going to serve God by our own free will? Because that's why we're here. That's why the whole thing where, you know, like, for example, they talk about the story in the Garden of Eden, and I don't mean to go into it, okay, but this is, it matters, okay? Your dedication to God matters, okay? It does, okay? It's not something frivolous. It's not a token. It's not a get out of jail card free, get out of jail free card. It's not a pass. It should not be used as trying to gain something like a job or even social acceptance, okay? When you make a dedication to God, you're making a dedication because you are moved by what you want, what you want to be, these qualities, these attributes, and you respect that and you strive to be. As a human being, we are incapable of ever being perfect. We are never going to be perfect. We're going to sin. I'm going to get up tomorrow, I'm going to stub my toe, and I'm going to sit there and shout profanities, and I just sinned, okay? I used something profane. I said something wrong. I am a human. I will continually make sins. Some sins are intentional, some are unintentional. Okay, like for example, when you haul off and you scream at somebody, or you lose your temper, or somebody disrespects their parents out of anger. So those things are spontaneous, but they're sins nonetheless. Some sins are, what do you call it? Well thought out. They're well thought out. Like you have plenty of time to adjust your thinking, reevaluate the situation, and then you reverse it. But you don't. You've had a long time. Like for example, you plotted to kill somebody, for example, okay, and you know good and well it's wrong, and you've been buying the gun. The first week you purchased the gun. The next week you did all this other stuff, right, to make sure you're covering your tracks. So all this time, like you planned it over a month, right? So you plan it over a month's period of time, and during this time that you're doing it, you have plenty of time to think about backing out and making the right decision, but you go along with it anyway. That's an intentional sin. Okay, and I understand. I don't mean to seem like I'm a goody two shoes, or that I'm somebody who what's the word for it? Like I'm fanatical. Okay, but I was born with a special gift, like a spiritual gift, and I respect it above anything else. Okay, I respect it more than anything. It's not the gift, but I'm respectful to the giver. Do you see what I'm saying? And I will not promote a religious faith that uses that sort of behavior, because that's a clear indication that that is not on the right path. I'm not saying all Seventh-day Adventists are wrong. I'm not saying all Lutherans are wrong. I'm not saying, you know, but some people take, like let's say for example, you belong to a congregation, a church, okay? You belong to a church. But corruption can actually enter into that church, and I've seen it happen several times, okay? And there's been several examples of corruption entering churches or religious groups, okay? Like we have some of these religious people that go too far, they get fanatical, they get, what's the word for it? They do corrupt things, whether that be people who are get greedy for money, or they have some sort of sex scandal, like those Tammy Faye Baker and Jim Baker and what was the other people that, God, happened back in the 80s. I'll think about their names later. Jimmy Swaggart and all these people, you know. And I'm sure they started off with the best intentions, but they got power and they got corrupt, you see. And I understand, you know, there's several interpretations of the Bible. That's why we have Lutherans. That's why we have Seventh-day Adventists. That's why we have, you know, Baptists and everything, okay? But they're all going to be different, okay? They're all going to be different. But they're only basing it off of their understanding. And there are some people who, their interpretation, okay? And there are some people who just flat out ignore certain things in that Bible, and they misuse the Bible or misquote it in order to gain power. People abuse the Bible too. I mean, they do, all right? But then there's also the issue of translation, interpretation. Like I said, there's several issues. And, but whatever the case is, you can tell when a group of people are not really acting on behalf of God. And you can tell in their actions, okay? God never tried to force people to worship him. That was a whole idea of the Bible. There's a good example of that when it talks about, and I am so not being preachy. I'm not, okay? I'm not. And I'm not a Bible thumper. I'm not, okay? But I'm just saying is, since you're making this issue about religion, you need to start thinking about certain examples in the Bible where there is nothing that justifies what you guys are doing or what you guys did, okay? What we saw here was corruption. People who were taking things into their own hands and using religion as an excuse for hate crime is basically what you were saying and what was acted out. And I'm hoping that this will never happen to another human being again, but we all know it's gonna. We all know it's gonna, because there's always gonna be thoughtless, hateful, evil people in this world. So anyway, yeah, you know, I still like to laugh. I mean, I'm a very goofy person. And so now you understand why I'm a goofy person. And because I understand serious things. I do. I understand things. I'm a realist, okay? And I understand the nature of people, you know? And I can have serious conversations all the time, and they're enjoyable, but I do like to be goofy. Because if I was sitting here serious all the time, I might make you go crazy. Because I might depress you pretty badly, you know? I'm a very direct person, and I understand things very well, you know. So, yes, I try to laugh as much as I possibly can, you know. I was watching somebody left a comment on one of my videos a few weeks ago. And apparently this lady wrote a book. She's from India. She is a targeted individual, a doctor. And she experienced the gang stalking, the campaign smears, and the ridiculous behavior from people and whatever. So she wrote a book and she put it online, but she left a comment in my on one of my videos, and she was basically recommending, you know, that people go and, you know, watch good funny movies and stuff like that. And you know, I do. I am a person who sees a good value in getting in touch with your inner child, so they call it, you know. No, I'm not immature. It has nothing to do with immaturity. Sometimes it's actually a good coping mechanism. As long as you don't lose touch with reality, I don't see anything wrong with that. And what I mean by losing touch with reality is when, like, you know, like, I know, I'm aware, I'm a lonely person. I need good quality friends, okay? But I choose not to make friends, okay? There's plenty of frenemies that would love to get in my face so they can go back and tell other people shit that I do, okay? But, so yeah, you know, I do enjoy cute things. I do enjoy stuffed animals. I do enjoy, you know, those sort of things, okay? But if I was lost touch with reality into where I only wanted to associate with stuffed animals, and I started, like, you know, having a little community of and having tea parties and not making any attempts to have human interaction, then I think that would be a problem. You see, there's nothing wrong with me. I try to be balanced. I've considered a fine balance. And yes, I do enjoy things that represent childhood. Childhood is a very beautiful time, especially thinking about how innocent you are and how, you know, you're new, everything's new in front of you, and you have all these wonderful hopes, and everything is so intensified, you know. So yeah, I think that's it's a great time. And I do. I enjoy looking at the bright colored objects, you know. So it does not mean that I get blacklisted. See, the issues of why I was mistreated was only very weak excuses. Very weak excuses for the contempt that these people had for me, you know. And I honestly, I can tell you that I would, I've never even thought of doing something like that to another human being. And I don't see how a person could live with themselves after doing that to another human being. I really don't. I couldn't look myself in the mirror and call myself a respectable person if I ever did something like that to another human being. Period. Okay. So anyway, so, you know, I'm going about my business, you know, and yes, I do. I need a job. You know, I need a job, and this isn't good for me. And, you know, I was willing to take any job, you know, that of course that I could do. But I just think, you know, when you got people who devalue your life and throw your life up in the air like it's nothing, you know, and then they expect you to have a smile on your face when you do it. It's just, it's shocking to me, you know. Um, I think I've done a lot of silly things when I was younger, and of course, you know, you do those things. Um, I don't really have any regrets. I mean, yeah, I wish I would have done things a little bit differently, but I consider the circumstances of, you know, all the people that I had to deal with, and the fact that I was in that situation. I was born into this family, and just everything else, you know, hey, you know, you do the best you can. You know, I take full responsibility for everything I've ever done in this life. I certainly do, you know. But I don't think anything warrants taking someone's life from them. You know, getting involved with them and then trying to force their shit down my throat. You know, this was a bullying situation. And, you know, we tend to normalize, society tends to normalize this sort of behavior. Like they don't question it. They, in fact, they get other people to, they encourage other people to be a part of it. And it doesn't take much persuasion to make people enact evil. You know, like my old boss used to say over at the farmer's place. You know, he was saying that he thought that most people were fundamentally good. Well, you need to wake up. They're not. People are evil. Even the Bible says that. You know, from the time that we're born, our very inclination of the human is bad. Bad. I mean, and it is. And people need to, that's why some people are considered civilized and others aren't. Like, you know, I've seen people, like, they walk in front of you in the store, or, you know, a guy shuts the door behind a woman when they're going into certain places, and it's like, I see ignorance all the time. Ignorance, just like shit, thoughtless shit that people do all the time, and don't think about it. And I keep thinking, because they're not civilized people. I'm not saying everyone's like that, but there's a lot of barbaric people running around to this very day. And we look at stories from history where, you know, small misunderstandings or differences of opinion, or maybe an issue relating to race or religion or whatever, and we look at these things back in history and we think, oh my gosh, that's terrible. But the funny thing is, this shit happened in the modern day. This should happen in the modern day. This fucking witch hunt, or this, like, I don't know what you want to call it. I call it a witch hunt. Why? Because um, uh, it was the behavior of the people. And no, I know people think that I'm a witch. Okay, yes, I did study that information when I was younger. Sure, I did. If you were born with some sort of intuitive nature, if you have an intuitive power or some sort of form of ESP, clairvoyance, I also have, what do you call it, a form of telekinesis, electromagnetic interference is what I have. My mind somehow affects appliances and shit. It's weird. But when you have these things and you're growing up with them, you're going to try to explore that as much as you possibly can. Why is this happening to me? So you do read into that, okay? But that's something that I left behind. But I did read the information, and I understood it, okay? But I don't think that, I think some people think, well, I have a spiritual gift that a lot of people don't have, so therefore they want me to propagate the ideology. And I'm going to say, based on how you represented your ideology, I'm going to tell you to take your religion and shove it up your ass. Is basically what I'm going to tell you how to do with that. Because you are a terrible representation of what you're supposed to be. So anyway, and yes, I had to say that. And if you want to retaliate by setting up another fake job interview, please stop it. I'm done. I really am done. I think you had murderous intent when you did that. And your whole behavior showed it. And so, it's completely understandable for me to want to sever ties with you. So, I have this peace stuff here because I I want peace. I don't want to think about these people. And I choose to move on. And I move on and I want peace. That's it. That's what I want, peace. I don't have it in me to retaliate. I figure somebody who comes with me with that sort of vengeance and anger must have some sort of dysfunction in them. So I don't need to curse you, wish you harm, or try to retaliate, because you're already in a shitty state to begin with. So let's close this and let's end it and stop the war and continue on in peace. And I'm going to wrap this video up. And for all TIs, have a wonderful evening.